Now this is the key to Suzuki's brand new S-Presso mini hatch. Do you reckon it will take the competition to the likes of the Renault Kwid Climber? Let's find out. Now the first thing we want to do is to check out the design of this brand new vehicle. Brand new for Kenya for 2020, and I can tell you for a fact, as far as the design aspect is concerned, Suzuki have actually done a lot to ensure that this car gives that butch look. Now this design, as you can see here, it's tall and of course wide to give you that impression that it's a big car. The main thing that you can see from this car is this particular part. This lower lip actually shields the radiator. That is actually just enough to cool this particular vehicle. Now moving over to the side profile, this is where matters get very interesting. This is why you see Suzuki's magic trying to package a sub 5-meter vehicle to have so much space. What they have done essentially is to push the wheels to the outer extremities with short overhangs to have enough space within the cabin. Now from the ground clearance perspective, you can actually see this S-Presso actually has 180 millimeters of ground clearance, and this is courtesy of a long stroke McPherson suspension and of course torsion beam suspension at the back. That's to give that ample ground clearance that you can actually do and go some bundu bashing, not extreme bundu bashing, but a bit of off-roading you can do it, and Mr. Murigza gave us a lowdown about that. Now moving over to the back, this is where it gets very interesting. So what Suzuki have done is to employ the rear tail lamps slightly higher up so that in case of an emergency or you have a fender bender, the lights are out of it. Now it's time to find out, has the cabin have that je ne sais quoi, that sharpness of an S-Presso? We're going to find out as I step inside and have a look on how it is inside, courtesy of cars with Big Boy Trev. So guys, you've seen from the walk around the styling aspect of the S-Presso. It's sharp to the point and chic. Big Boy is actually very comfortable on this front seat, as you can see, and it actually comes down to the way Suzuki have packaged the S-Presso. They've been at it for many years with doing the Jimny and many others, but this one is just but amazing. Let's start with the dashboard. As you can see, interesting design. The first glance, as you see, it's circular in the middle, so it reminds me of the Mini, but also reminds me of my digital watch. Now moving over to the radio, this is where matters get interesting. This particular model is a pre-production model, so some things are missing, but will obviously make their way to Kenya with the first batch of vehicles that are coming soon into the market. Moving over to the climate control, as you can see, it actually is a proper climate control system. It's standard but has all the functionalities that you may need. Right below, you do have a 12-volt socket you can power your devices, and of course there's a blank switch which actually is one that is used to use that start-stop technology, which is coming as standard on the higher spec model of this particular vehicle. Remember, this is a pre-production vehicle that CMC have, so it will have all the various details that you desire. Now below it again, plenty of cubby spaces because this is a mini hatch. There's that, so you can actually put your cell phone over here, and 2 cup holders that can actually fit your S-Presso. Now moving over to the gearbox console, and then we have this interesting design. This gearbox is called the 5AMT automated manual transmission. As you can see, if you move over to the steering wheel, this is where matters become very interesting. 3-spoke with the Suzuki logo on it, and of course it's very comfortable. It doesn't have tilt and telescopic on this particular version, but even as you can see with the sitting position that I am in, I'm actually very comfortable and I can drive this car for long. The seats, actually I love them because actually they're not slung low, they're actually placed higher up so that you have good 360 clearance, of course, of what you can see your surroundings, and of course the foam is very supportive, and even the material. That said, it's time for me to hand over the reins to Mr. Murigi.
When it comes to technology, the Suzuki S-Presso has you covered. They've built in technology straight from the factory up till the showroom floor over here. So we have to start, of course, with the fact that this is built on a brand new platform. It's called Heart-Act. It is the basis for Suzuki cars going forward. All the new ones that are coming out. So that means you have a stiffer shell, the car is lighter, it has better performance and greater efficiency. Let's move to the front over here, and we have this brand new design like Trevor had mentioned. This incredible design that we have here that has a digital readout. No more of those 2 circles that guys are used to, one for revs, one for speed. All of that is just shown on this system over here. We, like Trevor had mentioned, are driving right now a pre-production version that has just been brought to Kenya to make sure that it passes through all the tests and everything. But the car that you're going to be able to buy in the showroom in the days to come is going to have a 7-inch touchscreen display in the front here with Android Auto, Apple CarPlay and a reverse camera, which is amazing for this price point. but let's check into the back to see just how much space you have for the people and the stuff that you need to carry. Coming down to the back of the Suzuki S-Presso, and as you can see, there's loads of space at the back over here for any passengers. You can see there's a grab handle here for when you're on the move, and you of course now have manual winding windows at the back. They're automatic of course in the front, but it's just to make sure that you are able to do exactly what you can do. Like you mentioned, espresso, focus, making sure everything is okay. So in terms of safety, we of course now have safety belts running in the back here, and this is built of course on that new platform, making it more rigid, more safe for you and your family. But let's check into the boot to see just how much space there is for the stuff that you need to carry in the Suzuki S-Presso. Coming around to the boot of the Suzuki S-Presso, and as you can see, you need the key to open the boot over here just to make sure that it's secure, but you can also use the remote under the driver's seat. But as you can see, it opens to reveal a very deep, very wide space, just like the rest of the car, a lot bigger than you imagine. 240 liters of capacity that's available over here, and when you open over here, you can actually have access to a full-size spare tire. If you need more space, you can lie down the rear seats just to give you more space, more capacity for the stuff that you need to carry. But right now, it's time for us to take this on the road, see what it is as a driving experience. Let's go.
So guys, today on Big Boy Trev, we're sampling the Suzuki S-Presso. And from the walk around and the detailed cabin analysis, you can see that Suzuki have not spared anything to ensure that this particular car actually has what it takes to actually attract the young modern millennial. So where do we start? The first thing that we normally say is the engine. So what Suzuki have done is to employ the K series of engines. So this specifically is the K10B. Now it's 1000 cc. Yes, you might say it's small, but listen to this. 1000 cc 12 valve petrol with variable valve timing electronic control that produces 50 kilowatts and 90 newton meters, and all that power is sent to the front pause courtesy of a 5-speed AMT. For those who are wondering, AMT basically means automated manual transmission. So it's basically a 5-speed manual with an automated clutch that senses the shift patterns, and when the speed requires it to shift, it will shift automatically, giving you a flawless drive. Now, that is so amazing. Now, the chassis of this Suzuki S-Presso, it's known as the high-tech chassis. Now that you probably find on the Ciaz, on the Tigger that we reviewed earlier, and the Celerio. Now this chassis is renowned for two things. One, it's very rigid and sturdy. It's actually 33% stiffer than the previous outgoing chassis that Suzuki employed on the previous Jimneys and other vehicles. So actually it's on one of the best designed chassis. So it's very sturdy and it's scalable. So you can actually use it on different derivatives of Suzuki vehicles that are available, including the Jimny that we're going to test out very, very soon. Now, one thing I do love about this Suzuki S-Presso is its turning radius. You can actually park this car even at the tightest of corners, and of course, you're able to maneuver very easily in town. So as you turn, of course, the rack and pinion steering wheel allows this car to have a very small turning radius, as you can see here. And I'm able to turn pretty easily and pretty sharply, just, and this allows this car to be very nimble across town. And I can tell you, it's easy on the eye. It's easy to drive this car. The steering doesn't feel too tough, it doesn't beef up. It's just the right amount of pressure that you can allow to turn the steering wheel very easily. Now, once again, up front you do have McPherson strut suspension with long stroke and of course torsion beam, just to allow that this car to have good ride quality on tarmac. And of course, because this car is raised, you do also have long stroke capability to ensure that you're also having a good ride while doing the maram stuff, the off-road. It's not an extreme off-road like the Vitara or the Jimny, but you can go to different places where you can actually feel that this car is able to go. So there's a mix of active and passive safety features. From the active front, you do have ABS and brake assist, which is very vital to ensure that you have enough brake pressure at any given situation. And of course, if all hell breaks loose, then you can rely on the 2 airbags that are standard in this particular vehicle, plus an impact protection, side impact protection beam service that literally dissipates impact energy away from the cabin to ensure that you and your family are safe. What is so important is, again, to find out if it can do some bit of off-roading. So I'm going to hand over the reins to Mr. Murigi, who's also a resident off-road expert. We're going to go drive this car and tell you the feel on Maram surface, and then we do value for money.
So we know that this is a car that is built for the city, but we're in Kenya, and we know that at the end of the day, people are going to have to go off the road kidogo. So as much as it might not be the full, proper, crazy off-roading, what I've done right now is that I've turned off onto our small test track so that we can see whether this can handle itself where the tarmac stops. Now, this actually has very high ground clearance, about 180 millimeters of ground clearance. So we want to take it off the road over here just to simulate the situation that you would have if you were going Ushago and you needed to visit the people at the Shamba. One of the advantages of having the car being raised so high is the fact that the suspension has a lot more space to travel in, so it makes it very soft. This engine actually has quite a lot of power. It's very fun to drive when you're on tarmac, and as you can see, once you get into more slippery stuff, you can actually give it a bit of power, and it actually seems to be handling this slippery surface that we are on right now pretty well. I've had to give it a little energy here. We are sliding about a bit, but I have to say honestly, yeah, you should be able to handle a bit of mud, just a bit of dust, and a bit of a rough surface when you're in this car. But it's time for us to go back onto the tarmac and discuss how much this car costs, put it up against its rivals. It's time for value for money.
So guys, you've seen what the Suzuki S-Presso is all about. Style, efficiency, and that genre core we keep on talking about on Cars Big Boy Trev. Mr. Murigi, has it impressed you?
Well, I mean, it really is a very exciting car. The peppy engine, the bold design, I mean, the colors, the interior, the exterior. It's something that makes a statement. It's a bold statement. It's something that says you've arrived in this Nairobi. Yeah.
Now, as Kenyans would want to know, how much does it cost on the road? Wow guys, so you've seen this segment is growing exponentially, and of course you've seen from the taxi hailing apps, you've seen quite a number of them because of the efficiency. And now for the young, upwardly mobile millennial who's looking into getting a mobility from point A to B, then this should be an alternative. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Cars Big Boy Trev. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or queries, do not hesitate to write to us as seen on the social media notes below. We'll get back to you next week. Signing out, this is Big Boy Trev.
This is Murigi. Drive safe
and be safe.